What is her best kept secret about?
It is an exploration of women's drinking in the United States, starting from colonial days when women drank like fish to now when a lot of women also drink like fish. But mostly it looks at ways in which, evidence-based ways in which women can get better if they do develop a problem. And like most people, I just assumed that Alcoholics Anonymous, it's our gold standard in this country, right? It has to work for everybody, right? Your doctors send you there, the courts send you there, it's got to work. And I was astonished when I went to an open meeting and I just realized, as someone who's had therapy in her life and I've struggled with depression in my life, I thought, how does this help people get better? Number one, this broken record of these drunkalogs round and round and round again, it sounded like reliving a trauma, not getting past it, but reliving a trauma. Number one. Number two, I went to one meeting here in New York City, and it was kind of a bankers meeting, and one guy stuck his tongue in my ear and asked if I was hungry. And that was a clue, the second clue, that something was really wrong. Everything about the method and the ideology is just, it's negative. It's designed to beat you down. It's like a punitive parent. It was very shame-based. And it felt to me that people were just kind of scraping their egos on the ground. And I understand that in 1935, these two men at the very top of the social pyramid, two white privileged men who were literally at the top of society in 1935. I understand that it was a clinical and cultural milestone for them to acknowledge that they were powerless over one thing, which was alcohol. But most people who I saw in these meetings in the greater New York area were not white men. And so for them to say that they were suffering from an excess of hubris, an excess of ego, to me it just seemed completely nonsensical. Another thing that really struck me as odd as I began to do the research is, number one, how Christian it is. And number two, if the whole concept is something that you're trying to get better from, you've got a disease, then why would you use only religion to cure it? We don't tell people with diabetes to just go to church. We don't tell people with cancer to just go to synagogue. We don't tell people with arthritis, just give it over to God. So why do we say it in this instance? I actually thought that AA was led by trained professionals, that they had some sort of credentials, that they had some sort of training. As in any other realm of our medical universe. So I was shocked to learn that anyone who wants to can start an AA meeting. There's no oversight legally, there's no oversight medically, there's no oversight socially, there's no oversight emotionally. So I'm kind of the first outsider to look at it and say, something's not right here. Before the book came out, I had an adaptation of the book in the Wall Street Journal. And it right away started getting a lot of hits. It was the most emailed article for a whole weekend. But the comments were so vitriolic. The number of women who said, you must be an alcoholic. I don't know why in the world you would do this. What is your axe to grind? You're going to kill people. Rush Limbaugh called me out for being a feminist. It was insane. If you're supposed to be so grounded in your ideology, if you're supposed to be grounded in your 12-step program, what do you care if someone else is trying to help other women get better? I was inundated with emails from women who had been in AA, had been abused, had been suicidal because they had, quote unquote, ruined their sobriety. They had no place to go to talk about the sexual abuse that was part of the reason that they were drinking in the first place. Now, I don't want to say part of the reason that they were drinking, but the pain and shame of that experience kind of left a lot of women hopeless. Their sponsors were sometimes nasty to them, abusive in their own right. It was almost in a way trading one abusive relationship for another. A lot of women wrote to me and said, "Oh, thank you. It was so devastating to me. It took me off course for years."